Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew here. I wanted to do a quick video blog about. I wanted to kind of get into economics. I think people are really just so confused about the proper economic system for the United States and for a population as large as the United States. Um, right now, there's a really big divide between people who want to go back to the way things were. They want a little bit more freedom. They want less government in their lives. And then there's people on the other hand who want more government in their lives, surprisingly. And me personally, as a person who's never, like I said, I mean, you guys know my story, you know my history. If you don't, then look at my video, a quick background on me before you comment on this video. But if you know my history, I've never been one to really think that government is the answer to our problems. And I'm so surprised. Like we have millennials now and generations that just really believe that the government is the answer to the problems when the government is actually at the forefront of most of the problems. They're creating most of the problems. You know what I mean? So it's unbelievable to me that people think more government is the answer when it's actually that less government would be beneficial to us. All right, let's be realistic now. All these contracts that the government provides to big companies, that you have to remove their ability to do that before you can even think about making the country fair. Corporations wouldn't seek out favor by government if they didn't have to be able to compete better. You see what I'm saying? But they seek it out because it's there and it's available and you can use it, and you can crush your adversaries by doing that. Because if you have a government contract, it's big dollars, it's big control, it's big power. So it's a whole different mindset when you're working with a government contract. But if you have to answer to citizens, you got to compete, and that means you got to provide better services at a lower price, and it overall it brings prices down, and it's better for consumers. It's also believe it or not, better for businesses, because honestly, a lot of these businesses that shouldn't exist wouldn't exist if that were the case. But there's a lot of companies out there that exist, primarily because they take advantage of government contracts or government mandates and so forth. I think the insurance industry, for the most part, is a really big user, not necessarily of government contracts, but government mandates. There's a lot of insurance companies that wouldn't, I think insurance as a whole, the entire industry would probably be cut down completely if the government wasn't involved. I mean, think about how much the government makes you pay for, in regards to insurance, that you wouldn't be spending money on if you had the ability to just say no. I mean, think about it. How many people? I remember when I was younger, right? And I stopped when I was going through those difficult times in my life, I remember I just flat out stopped paying my car insurance. I was like, what the fuck am I paying this shit for? I've never been in an accident. And to this day, I've still never been in an accident. I'm 30 years old. But at that point, I had never been in an accident. I just said, why am I paying insurance for? So I canceled it. And what happened? They immediately contacted the DMV. My license got revoked. I had this whole issue. My insurance rates went up to like $300 a month. So it was crazy. So I actually ended up paying more for insurance because I didn't want to pay them in the first place. And that's because the only reason they were getting any money from me at all is because the government made it so that I had to pay them. If I didn't have to pay them, I wouldn't have been paying them. And there's a lot of industries and a lot of companies that are like that. They exist because the government makes them exist. So the government creates this like market inefficiency by providing an opening for companies to exist, whereas they wouldn't exist if it were up to the needs and desires of the people. You see what I'm saying? Like, companies are really supposed to serve people. And when it doesn't serve people, when companies don't serve people, they become self-serving. And they become, they start to operate outside of the realm in which they're supposed to operate. Like, we design our company to serve people, and that's what we do. We have, like I told you, I'm an executive. I'm a chief operating officer at a consumer goods company, and our goal is to sell, good nutraceutical products to consumers. But if we had a government contract where all of their facilities or all of their health related facilities had to provide our products, how committed do you think we would be to the average consumer? We wouldn't care about them because we can score the government contract all day. And so that's the divide between, I think, Trump supporters and Bernie Sanders supporters. Bernie Sanders supporters think that if you just increase the size of government, you just give more money to government, that things are going to go better because the government is going to do what's right. But what you guys don't understand is that with great power comes great responsibility. So the government is not always going to do the right thing. I mean, you could give the government all of your money and the government won't do the right thing. The government has a nasty track record of wasteful spending. You know, they waste money, they blow money. And in fact, history has shown that the government doesn't invest their money better than the private sector does. The private sector has made accomplishment upon accomplishment upon accomplishment and has made many things possible, many inventions that have improved our livelihoods. And, you know, the government takes so long to just get to that point. I mean, take the DMV, for example, or even the United States Postal Office. Look at how they operate. Look at how government-run organizations operate. They take so long to be able to get things done. Sometimes they still do a lot of things by just regular mail. There's a lot of services that they don't even have online. You know what I mean? Like they're so slow moving. And this is with all the money that they have, and with the fact that they put a gun to your head and force you to pay them, they're still slow. And you know why they're slow? You know why the government is so slow at certain things? It's because there's no incentive for them to be any faster than they really are. There's no incentive for them to compete. They don't have to impress anybody, and so they don't impress anybody. And that's just what the issue is. So when companies and when organizations, or just say groups of people, because that's what these things really are, when groups of people don't have anyone to impress or to compete for, they become lax and they don't provide a quality service. And that's exactly what happens. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, if you don't provide a quality service, you should be shut down. You shouldn't even, your business should be closed because people shouldn't want to go there, right? But when you have something like government can force people to buy a certain product and a certain service. And that's when things become, you know, inefficient. That's when you have all these distortions in the market. And so that's what the great divide is these days. I think, you know, the left and the right, the left wants more government, and the left thinks that, you know, more government will help people. And the right generally thinks that less government will. But the right is okay with expanding government in certain aspects, like things that you can't do for yourself, like national security and so forth. You know, like I say, I'm a conservative libertarian mainly because this country has gone too far left. But if this country were to go too far right, I might move a little bit left. I might say, hey, it'd be nice if we had a program for this or a program for that. I might say that. I'm not an absolutist. But when I see something, you know, that needs to be done, you know, as a pragmatist, that's my approach to problem solving. Certain things need to be done to solve problems. And that's how, I mean, that's really how our politicians should approach problems. But that's not how they do it, because they're bought and paid for, and there's so many special interests in their pocket. So you know how it goes. So the only way that we're going to, you know, beat these kind of issues is by having somebody who's self-funded, who is beholden to nobody except the American people, and who does their best to just generally do a good job. And Donald Trump has a history of that. You know, you could say what you want about the man's character. I'm not here to argue with you that this guy is a saint or he's a wonderful guy. I could argue that point too, but I think it's pointless at this point. I think every politician that gets into the office has to play dirty and you have to become a little bit of a snake in order to rise above all the other snakes. So it's just, I think everybody has to play a little bit dirty, and I think he'll do what he needs to get done in order to move this country in the right direction. And that's it. I've elaborated on this so many times, but I think a lot of people get confused with what, you know, the left and the right paradigm are. And I think right now we need a little bit of smaller government in our lives and less involvement so that we can start moving this country in the right direction. Make America great again. This is Drew here. You guys have a wonderful day.